The Pittsburgh Steelers have an opportunity to go get an offensive coordinator, and there is zero, and I mean zero reason why they should not. And the only thing that's going to hold them back from doing so is pride. What's up, everybody? Thank you for jumping on to Steelers to Go, your daily to go cup of Pittsburgh Steelers news and analysis. I'm Noah Strackbein, joined every single Monday through Friday with you guys. Find us on youtube.com/all Steelers talk or anywhere you get your podcasts. And today we're being pretty straightforward here. The Pittsburgh Steelers have an opportunity to find a successful offensive coordinator and to find a successful offensive coordinator right now. And chances are they're going to pass it up. Why? Because pride gets in the way in Pittsburgh. It always has. It probably always will. And it is the biggest flaw of this organization. It is sometimes the biggest upside. But man, oh man, are they missing an opportunity right now to do something great that they are going to pass up and ruin this season and possibly next. After a very disappointing 3-5-1 start for the Indianapolis Colts, they have fired Frank Reich, deciding to move on and hire Jeff Saturday, which is a completely other topic of conversation. A terrible move by the Indianapolis Colts. You now have zero play callers on your team. And meanwhile, if we want to get into the topic of former players that should have been hired by the Colts, Reggie Wayne was easily at the top of that list. Peyton Manning was probably number 2. And if they didn't offer those two the job and they both turned it down, jumping right to Jeff Saturday, what are you doing? What are you doing? Jim Irsay, I hear, is a phenomenal man, but sometimes he just makes terrible, weird decisions, just like every other owner in the NFL. Just like Art Rooney's going to do with the decision that the Colts made and an opportunity that is sitting right in front of him. An opportunity that he will not go and pick up, an opportunity that he will miss, an opportunity that will likely leave his doorstep before he opens the door. Not good for the Pittsburgh Steelers, not good for Art Rooney, not good for the offense. So Reich, as we have mentioned, no longer in Indianapolis, probably won't get a head coaching job next season, I would imagine, maybe in 2 years, but he's going to need to take a step back again and play offensive coordinator at some point for some team in the NFL. And that team easily is the Pittsburgh Steelers, who should be calling, who should have already called. There is zero reason to keep Matt Canada on the staff at this point. We have addressed that time and time again. Matt Canada is not fit for the NFL. He's not fit for Pittsburgh. He is not a good OC, and I don't believe he ever will be an OC. And I don't like to look into the future, but my gosh, there is nothing that shows that he is capable of running a successful offense. They have played over 25 games with Matt Canada as offensive coordinator. Less than 20 of those games have scored more than 20 points. That's bad. That's very, very bad. Meanwhile, there's a prime opportunity sitting right in front of you for the Pittsburgh Steelers to go out and hire Frank Reich and bring in an offensive coordinator that has found success in his last season in Philadelphia. The last time he was an offensive coordinator in 2017, he led the Eagles to the 3rd best scoring team in the NFL. Meanwhile, the Steelers are the worst scoring team in the NFL. Feels like you need a little bit of a change, don't you? Feels like you're hitting a point where averaging 28.6 points per game while throwing for 233 yards and rushing for 132 yards per game is a huge upgrade. Huge upgrade. But they won't go and do it. Why? I can tell you why. Because Art Rooney has a pride bigger than anything in this NFL, and he doesn't care about anything except for his reputation. And his reputation right now is that offensive and defensive coordinators do not get fired in Pittsburgh. They do not jump the gun on people. They instead let them rock, let them live out a contract, and if they cannot prove themselves within that contract, they will move on. Only players are forced to retire in Pittsburgh. Players and Randy Fichtner, I guess. Everybody else gets a fair chance to live out their dreams until there is no more money between me and you. It is a terrible, terrible way to work. And you can blame Mike Tomlin all you want, but Mike Tomlin does not have that call. Mike Tomlin does not sit around and go, you know what? Today we're firing Matt Canada. Get him out of here. Today we're firing Matt Canada. Tomlin doesn't have that call. On the outside perspective, Tomlin has to be that scapegoat, obviously. But Tomlin does not have that authority. I don't even believe Omar Khan has that authority. I believe Art Rooney is the only one who could sit around and say, you know what? We're getting rid of our offensive coordinator today. That's the move we're going to make. And he won't do it. And therefore, Mike Tomlin has to say he won't do it, and Omar Khan has to say he won't do it. But realistically, this falls on Art Rooney. And I hate putting blame on Art Rooney because that man is phenomenal. One of the best human beings I've ever met in my whole life. An absolute legend in the game of football, deserves nothing but respect. But sometimes you have to be critical in this business. And when all lights are on you and you want to push those lights to the side, they have to shine brighter. Let me repeat Reich's last year in Philadelphia. 28.6 points per game while throwing for 233 yards and rushing for 132 yards per game. The Steelers dream of that in their biggest dreams. But they won't make the move. Instead, they'll sit around and they'll complain about how bad this season is and how bad this offense is and how they want Kenny Pickett to get better, but he's making mistakes and how things are going to turn around. You just got to tucker down. No. Sometimes pride gets in the way when making NFL decisions. I think it got in the way with Jim Irsay hiring Jeff Saturday, but we'll see about that one. But I definitely think it's getting in the way now because the Steelers have said they will stick with Matt Canada after the bye week. And meanwhile, they're going to let a prime offensive coordinator, somebody who in tomorrow's episode, I've already talked about it because I was recording it before I decided that this was a much better thing to talk about right now, is a former player blames losses on Kenny Pickett over Matt Canada, and his solution to the problem is to go hire somebody with experience developing quarterbacks. I agree with that wholeheartedly. I mean, Carson Wentz had the year of his life, has solidified himself as a starting quarterback in the NFL when he doesn't deserve to be a starting quarterback in the NFL because of what Reich did in 2017. And then when he went down, Nick Foles became Nick Foles, a legendary player, somebody who many at some point believe can be and possibly the greatest backup of all time. Looked upon as the greatest backup of all time, won a Super Bowl. The Eagles won a Super Bowl with the backup quarterback. Why? Because they had a phenomenal offensive coordinator. But the Steelers are ready to just sit around and let that pass them up. Why? Because pride is a thing in Pittsburgh, and it means more than anything. Respect means more than anything, and you have to respect a contract until it's shined a light. Because at the end of the season, it's probably going to come out after Matt Canada is fired that he's got one more year left on his deal. At least that's what I've heard. At least that's what sources have told me, is that Matt Canada, whose details of his contract were not released, has one more season on his contract. But the Steelers are not going to, there are no way they're going to walk into next season with Matt Canada as their OC. If they do, people are going to lose their minds. So why not just make the move now and get somebody who develops quarterbacks, who wins Super Bowls, who brings offenses to Super Bowls when they have no business being there? Think about some of the guys in 2017 in Philadelphia. Just think about it. Think about Nick Foles. Think about Nelson Aguilar. Think about LeGarrette Blount, Alshon Jeffrey. Think about all these guys. There were so many names on that team that had no business being stars in a Super Bowl. And yet here they are. And you're telling me that Kenny Pickett, a first round pick, a guy who has been ready for the moment in the NFL, he just doesn't have the physical ability yet. He doesn't have the play calling yet. He doesn't have somebody who has the ability to coach him correctly yet. You're telling me that that's not who you want in the building? That you're willing to waste a year of Kenny Pickett and his development and his progress? I don't care about the season. You're not going to go win a Super Bowl this year. But you could develop Kenny Pickett in 9 games. You could definitely teach him a lot more than what he's going to learn in the next 9 games with Matt Canada. But instead, you're not willing to do that because of a contract, because of pride. The Steelers have a major flaw. They always have. And it's the Steelers' way. The standard is the standard. The standard is the standard in Pittsburgh, and I get that. But sometimes that standard holds you back. Sometimes you have to adjust your standards because the world is adjusting faster. Frank Reich is a dude that you should go get immediately, and they will not. And if he goes somewhere else, they have missed a prime opportunity to develop Kenny Pickett and a lot of other pieces that can be superstars in this league. All for a guy that nobody wants around. All for a guy that they don't have plans to stick around. All because of pride. And it's a downfall. It's a big one.